effort to keep that friendly bond, I flipped the switch that made me react that way. End of story. I could get my rocks off elsewhere. Still, Bella was my girl. My secret. The thought made me sigh. Then I saw her in the quad yesterday, and completely fucking panicked when she smiled at me and stopped. I admit I may have overreacted a bit at the possibility everyone would know the secret. Attempting to not appear friendly towards her, I overcorrected, and probably hurt her feelings. She forgave me though. But last night was different. She was acting strange. So I kept things light, in hopes I hadn't scared her away with my fucked up story yet. I was already amazingly dependent on Bella's company. And now, after hearing Jasper recount the events of what is now being referred to as Weird Random Emotional Breakdown number 4, I was seeing another surprising side effect of my bond with Bella. It took me a second to understand it, but I was being protective of her. Jasper was really pissing me off with the way he talked about her. I could only hope my comment about Brandon would squash that shit. Alas, even I had faith in his undying love for the little bitch pixie. Once I settled into my biolab seat, I began to feel that protective feeling all over again when Bella walked in. Newton was 2 seats ahead of our table, staring at Bella, though to call it staring would be an understatement. He was fucking undressing her with his eyes, salivating like a golden retriever tied down in front of a pork chop. I glowered at him as she took her seat, willing him to meet my gaze. But he never did, so I spent the entire class trying to sort out this need to fuck Newton up for what he did to Bella yesterday. And what he would do to her again given the opportunity. Because Newton was an idiot like that. Fucker never could take a hint even when it was shaking and crying in front of him. My anger just grew during the hour. When the bell finally rang, I darted out of the classroom, staying close to the door to make sure Newton was exiting behind me, and he was. His nose was still bruised from the bathroom incident, but it gave me little enjoyment. I wanted to bruise that fucker's face. Once he met my gaze, I smiled crookedly at him, drawing him in with a friendly facade. Mike was always trying to get into mine and Jasper's good graces. He'd take the bait. He did. "Hey Cullen. How's it hangin', bro?" he said, swaggering over to me like he was God's gift to the entire planet. I allowed myself an inward grimace. However, I kept my smile in place as I put my plan into action. "I was just heading out for a smoke, wanna join?" I asked casually, knowing that Mike was a total butthead, and most likely thought I was referring to weed instead of cigarettes. His face lit up and he followed me out the doors into the quad, like the fucking douchebag he is. I made every attempt to keep a distance between us, partly because my sight was going red with anger at the imbecile, and partly because I didn't want to be seen with him. Ever. Even if it was to beat the shit out of him. Once we were in the thick canvas of the trees past the parking lot, I turned to him. "So, why do you keep fucking with Bella Swan?" I asked, finally letting my voice harden with the anger I was feeling. His eyes glazed over for a second at the mention of her. "Holy fuck, bro. You see that whole shy chick things she's got going on? Even the crazy isn't enough to tame the monster." He snickered and crudely grabbed his crotch. That was it. I flew at him and grabbed him by the neck, slamming him against one of the moss-covered trees. His eyes grew wide as he realized the gravity of the situation. I glared at him through narrowed eyes, my breath picking up through the rare adrenaline rush I was getting. "Listen the fuck up, Newton," I hissed inches from his shocked face. I tightened my grip on his neck to punctuate my order, and his eyes squinted. "Stay the fuck away from her. Don't touch her, don't look at her, don't even fucking think about her," I growled, lacing my voice with venom. I knew Newton well enough to know he was terrified of me, has been ever since the last day of freshman year, when he saw me fuck up his best friend Josh. And right about now, Newton looked like he was going to piss his pants. What a pussy. I haven't even hit him yet. But I couldn't leave the asshole completely unscathed, so I drew my fist back, and punched him in the stomach with as much force as I could without internally injuring him. I let go of his neck as he slumped down on his knees, holding his stomach and gasping for breath. He looked so fucking pathetic, shaking and gasping. "How does it feel, asshole?" His immediate compliance was almost disappointing. I didn't get to punish him nearly as much as I wanted. Knowing I had to do some damage control, I kneeled down close to his face. "Tell anyone about this and I will fuck you up. Got it?" I asked in my scary calm voice. At his nervous head bob, I stood up, wiping my hands against each other in loud clapping motion. Satisfied that he wouldn't touch my girl again, I turned on my heel, leaving him panting on the wet forest floor, wearing a smirk. The adrenaline rush was good for my condition. It kept me completely alert for the rest of the school day, and even the car ride home. Which was a good thing, because Jasper could not shut the fuck up about the pants Brandon was wearing today, and it was boring the shit out of me. So, she drops her pencil, right? Then she fucking bends over right in front of my desk. Jasper groaned. I rolled my eyes. What a dirty little slut, Brandon. Girl's got skills. Those pants of hers would be starring in Jasper's every fantasy. It was so amusing watching those two do their sick mating dances. Amusing, and slightly nauseating. He was in a hurry to get out of my car, and into his house. Probably into his shower. I chuckled into the silence of my Volvo as I made my way home. Emmett was at practice today, so the house was quiet. As I made my way to my room, the adrenaline had completely left my system, and sadly, just made me even more exhausted. I swayed on the stairs a bit, grasping the railing for support. I trudged my way up the last stair with heavy feet and tired eyes. Shit. I muttered under my breath when I saw my bed. All warm and inviting, and asking me to lay in it and completely fucking ruin my quasi-good day. With a groan, I set my alarm clock for 2 hours and glared at the pillows. Please, just this one time. As soon as I hit the mattress my eyes fluttered closed, and I drifted into a deep sleep. This time it was the fire. Red hot, smoldering, blurring, and scorching everything in its wake. Really, I couldn't blame fire. Fire is something to be feared and respected. If only I had known that then. Instead, I sat crouched in a corner of the living room, watching as the flames lapped at my father's skin, fire surrounding me, suffocating me. I could detect the scent. That fucking smell of burned flesh, as he screamed for me to run and get out. But I couldn't leave him there alone. So I sat, watching in horror, as he tried to drag himself across the burning floor. Finally, I woke up once again to the screeching of my alarm clock. I let out a frustrated, agonized scream, and pounded my hands into my teary eyes, before finally shutting the sound off. I felt some sick sense of karma, lying in my bed, sweating, shaking, crying, and panting. It took me longer to recover, and last time. I was so tired of doing this every other day. It was always the same result. I lifted up my shirt and fingered the scarred flesh across my stomach. A demented souvenir of the night that ruined my life. Finally, I shot up out of bed and lunged for the patio, desperate for something to calm my nerves. It was nearly 6 now, Carlisle would be home soon. I stood, enjoying the cold air against my sticky skin, and peered out towards the gazebo. It looked so much brighter in the day, but so much more inviting at night, when I knew someone was waiting there for me. Thinking of my girl soothed my nerves enough to extinguish the cigarette, before it was even gone. With that thought, I grabbed my iPod, and began filling it with only the best songs I could think of. Can't let my girl have bad taste in music.